guessing you and I right now are live, and we're going to do it like this. Boom. Oh, you're not. Look at you. You're not fitting right.
Okay. We're doing it. Oh, gosh.
We go.
This is.
If you guys like our new thing here, this is.
Hi.
Yeah. How you doing, Greg?
I don't like this. I don't like it at all.
All right, I'll get this out.
I don't like it.
Or I can keep playing with it and we can be here like that.
Did you just find virtual backgrounds?
Yeah, no, I just found change immersive view.
Yeah.
I can also
our camera angles are a little different. So I look like twice the size of you, like I do a podcast of The Hobbit.
I look like you're working out.
Yeah, sure.
I'm the
Greg is the mountain.
Halfling? Yeah, the mountain. I'm the viper.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. All right, guys. This meeting is being live streamed. We got it. Yeah, we know.
Yeah, I know. You told me.
All right. How do I get out of this though?
Turn it off.
There we go.
Turn
we'll
the view off.
That. Boom. Back.
Hey, now we're back.
Okay.
Now
hello, everybody. Welcome to Johnny and the Greg. Johnny there having a little fun.
Fun with technology.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. So before or during Greg's little spiel on our partner, if you guys can subscribe, and share with your friends, Greg's going to let us know all about Audible.
Yes, we are partnered with Audible, one of the top place to get audiobooks out on there on the internet. You can get 30 days free in our partnership with Audible as you're cracking a drink by going to audibletrial.com/JATG. Hundreds of thousands of audiobooks. I've been listening to the second book in the Dune series for a little bit. So that's been pretty good. Messiah by Frank Herbert. I love the Dresden Files by Frank Butcher. Just love it on that series. But they also have some great Audible only stories. There's one called the first. It's a series of books in the Bobaverse, which is some great old school science fiction. Okay. Really loved it. You can find 4 of those books out there on Audible, and you can't buy them at a bookstore. They're strictly Audible pieces, and they've got a whole bunch of them on there, along with podcasts and news stories or newsreels and educational material. And you can get that for 30 days for free if you go to audibletrial.com/JATG. Anything you buy is yours to keep, no matter whether you keep up with the subscription or not. And if you don't like it, that's fine. Just you can shut it off at the end of those 30 days. No hard feelings, and we're good. So that's audibletrial.com/JATG.
Thank you, Greg. And I'm going to tell everybody right here, I've been reading this book. I finished it in 2 days. That's never happened. Yeah, never happened. It's called The Hollow Ones. It's with Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Hogan. They are both co-authors of The Strain. It was a show on FX for a while.
Yeah, well, Guillermo del Toro is a huge filmmaker.
Yeah.
Actually, he did the Hellboy series. He's his last one, oh gosh, I can't. Nightmare Alley.
Shape of Water.
No, Nightmare Alley. Sorry, Nightmare Alley was his latest one. But yes, he did win Oscars for
Pan's Labyrinth. He won the Oscar for Shape of Water.
Fantastic filmmaker.
Yes. He's one of my favorites. I always know I'm in for a good show with him. This is a fantastic book. If you guys are into the supernatural, occult detective type thing, this is right up your alley. It's called The Hollow Ones, and check it out on Audible. I'm one of those guys that like to hold on to it and read it.
Yeah.
But I'm old school. But anyway, my question for you, sir, is that Dune that you're listening to, how many hours does that say it is?
For the second book of Dune, which is not as big as the first, I can tell you, I think I want to say 4 hours.
That's it?
For this one.
It's only 4 hours?
For the second book of Dune. The first book was a lot bigger.
Right, but the Dresden Files are 10 hours.
I could be wrong. I must be wrong. See, right now I'm looking at it. It's only telling me what I have left.
Oh, okay.
It's not telling me the entire thing.
Okay.
But I can tell you what the first Dune was. I want to say that was 20 something.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. This is a 20 hour.
Oh, here we go. No, I'm sorry. So Dune Messiah, which is what I'm in now, is 8 hours and 57 minutes. So
all right, that sounds
9
more.
hours.
All right, that sounds more.
The first Dune book is 21 hours and 2 minutes.
21 hours.
So that was a lot.
Can you imagine being the guy reading it? Not that you read it 20 straight hours, but
you don't. But that's great contract work, man. I got a 21-hour audiobook I got to produce.
Especially if you're like voice acting. I think you could do a voice acting.
I thought there are ways you can get into voice acting or like reading audiobooks. Like,
like get somebody on that does that.
You send in like a reel, and honestly, you and I are most of the way there just with the headphones and the mics.
Yeah.
But they get like these hoods that you can like put on a desk for a sound dampening.
Okay.
And then they just go in and record. They got like their software on a computer. Maybe they've got an amp on the side that they can kind of play with some settings, and they get pages and they just read from like an iPad.
Wow.
And I've seen these people on like TikTok and stuff like that. They're like, well, here's how I got into voice acting.
Wow.
They're doing audiobooks. They do some anime series, stuff like that.
That's crazy. So what's even crazier about that is they actually have a Get Smart cone of silence now.
Oh, really?
For those? No, you were just said it's like this hood that they put over, and now remember that back in the Get Smart days, the television show where the cone of silence and they couldn't hear each other.
Oh yeah, I'm like, Get Smart. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I
gotcha.
I think I have the shoe phone because that was always handy.
Yeah. I'm trying to find our live stream here, and it's taking me a little bit to find
That's okay. I'm gonna throw out a question, and I guess we're gonna do we got nothing,
not a lot on the pipe.
To talk about today, so we're gonna do a little.
There are some things going on in the country which we could talk about, but they're mostly depressing, and we don't have all the facts yet. So
yeah. So we'll just sip out on that. But anybody that got hurt, we're sorry. Our prayers to family and friends.
Hate to say it, folks, but firearms are meant for defense, not offense. That's my take on that.
Unless you're hunting.
Well, that's different. I think that's different. But in
I know what you mean. In urban environments, like after a basketball game or this last one down in Buffalo is terrible. Yeah.
Jesus. Supermarket. There's a Buffalo supermarket. Moving on. That's
all right. We'll move on to I guess we'll go old fashioned, do some topic thunder here. Greg, has Uber made the world a better place?
Has Uber made
the world better? I just not better place, but better. Has Uber made the world better? It's kind of a crazy little question to ask, but
I've never even thought of that really, because I don't know.
I think it would be like all technology, right? There's some people that it would absolutely sit there and say, yeah. And there's some people that sit there and say, no. And I'm talking about the people that like Uber, like has made life rough for them, like taxi cab drivers or.
Yeah. I mean, it changed our way. Like if I'm traveling and I'm not doing a car rental anywhere, and we're going to do, especially if I'm traveling for work, and work doesn't always like to rent vehicles. If like, hey, you're going to go to this conference and the conference is at the hotel you're staying at, you don't need a car to drive around the city you're in.
Right.
Because everything's right there.
Right.
And so the first one, I took a cab and from the airport to the hotel, and it cost me like $60 from the hotel. And where I work, they're like
half. Right?
Yeah, they're like, well, but where I work, they're like, no, just take a cab. That's normal. I'm like, but I could take an Uber or a Lyft for like half that.
Yeah.
And so that's what I started doing. And it's been like, I like it. I mean, traveling around in that respect.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember the first time I got Uber, I was like, really? How is that going to work? Like, you're going to get in the car of a stranger,
Yeah.
And that was weird to me because I guess with a taxi, they have a medallion, they're registered. It's, and I haven't come across it. I'm sure there's some sort of not good guy driving a car right now looking for people to get in his car, but
there have been like Uber had to make some different choices, I think, in their drivers, because I think there was a lawsuit or something weird happened once upon a time. I don't know what, but it was enough for them to go, no, we need some better scales. But I had a good friend of mine, you know him, actually, he's in our D&D group, lived down in Florida working for Disney, and Disney just didn't, a lot of people think, well, yeah, you can make a living at Disney. Well, maybe if you're in management or if you're kind of in the upper echelon there, but if you're a cast member, just like, you're the guy standing at the Hall of Presidents helping people out, you're not making a living there. I mean, you need to supplement your income somehow. And so he drove for Uber and Lyft, and that's how he supplemented his income.
How do you like it?
I think he liked it. He's a pretty social guy.
He's a very social guy. So I would imagine he'd be a fun car if you're into like talking to your driver.
And it was, he made the choice that he didn't drive during bar time because he didn't want to deal with.
That makes sense. You don't want to deal
drunken
with
tourists or anything else.
Somebody puking in your car,
which has to happen.
It has
to happen.
Like
the belligerence.
Yes, I've seen some horrible videos of like Uber drivers like, get out of my car, man. Like,
that's been so I mean, he liked it, and I think what I have found out, and I actually haven't taken an Uber or a Lyft since I found this out because I haven't had to. I was the annoying guy. Like, I was the guy that would ride in the front seat and start talking to my driver like, so how long you been driving? I mean, just kind of doing that shit.
Me too.
And they hate it. I mean, that's like the joke. I mean, that's almost like a sketch comedy kind of thing. Of they're like, oh, well, here's this guy. Yeah. So I know better now that I will, especially if I was by myself, mostly because I thought it was just awkward to. Yeah. I mean, you're not a cab driver. You're a working mom. You're a dude who's in between jobs or whatever it is.
Right.
Or this is your full-time job, but you're up front. I'm in the back. It just felt weird for me. And so I'd be like, do you mind if I ride up front? And most of the time, everybody was like, sure, no problem.
Yeah.
But now I think, no, I'll be a backseat guy.
I never thought of that, but I guess I'm that guy too.
Like,
I'm that guy that would be like, so how long you been doing this? You like it? How long you live in this city?
Yeah. Their expectation is for you to sit in the back
and shut up
and not really I don't know. Like, I want to talk to them because that's just me. Like, if we're sitting in the car for 20 minutes and, my best story, I think, was in Vegas. I was with my wife and we wanted to get,
like that's how every story starts.
It's always starts. Best story was in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get downtown. We wanted to get to old downtown, the kind of that part of town.
Yeah.
And so my wife had never taken a ride share or anything like that before. And I had done it a handful of times for work. And I'm like, well, and I got the basic one. I mean, because it's just the two of us. So I'm thinking I'm going to get picked up in like a Prius and they're going to drive us downtown and that'll be it.
Be like Bob Parr.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, because that was just the basic one. This guy shows up in, I would think it was a Mercedes. It was a high-end model Mercedes, all white leather interior. This guy had he had a white suit on, red shirt, kind of.
Oh, this is really full-time gig.
It was. I mean, no, actually, it wasn't his full-time gig, but he went all out, and we sit in the back, and he's like, "Hey guys, I've got water, I've got snacks. Do you need to charge your phone?" I mean, he was just all He was full customer service guy.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap, dude. And I'm like, is this what you do like full-time? He goes, oh no, I'm a realtor. I'm a Las Vegas realtor. And he's like, where are you guys from? We're from Wisconsin. And he's like, great. Are you guys interested in property? You're in Las Vegas. And then we went, no, we're really not.
Yeah.
And that was it. But it turns out this guy, he worked in LA as a financial advisor and real estate agent for Hollywood. I mean, he was working with Warren Beatty, Goldie Hawn, Russell. I mean, these.
God, can you imagine their standards?
Like the big 60s, 70s, 80s Hollywood people were all friends of his. And his daughter and this is the great part, his daughter was the nanny for Johnny Depp. Pre-Amber Heard, but for Johnny Depp and his children with what's her name, previous wife, I can't remember. Yeah. And things were just starting to blow up with Johnny and Amber at the time, and I was like, I said, well, that's real interesting. And he's like, oh yeah, he's like, Johnny's a great guy. I'm like, great guy, really? Because the media,
because at that time, it was all
I mean, he was Johnny, bad Johnny. Like, he goes, absolutely not. Don't you believe a word of that? That man is a saint. And he's like, his daughter, who was their full-time nanny, he's like, he buys her the newest, safest, whatever the top safety rated SUV is that year. That's the car she gets that year
to drive their daughter,
to drive all of Johnny, or I think he's got a couple kids, but to drive Johnny's kids around. Yeah. That's the vehicle that
wouldn't you do that if you had Johnny Depp's wealth? Wouldn't you do that too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I would.
Yeah. I mean, I would totally do that.
And she went on vacations with them. I mean, she was working, but she was on vacations with them, and she did. And he's like, all of this stuff you're hearing about him is complete bullshit. And I was like, okay, then. Yeah. And that really, I'm like, well, I'm going to believe this guy whose daughter is working for Johnny Depp. But and he had pictures on his phone. That's my daughter. Here's Johnny. Yeah, it was cool.
Speaking of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, somebody asked me, have you heard more about that than like what's going on with Russia? And
absolutely. That is,
I was like, I can't believe how much this has been just in our faces.
Yeah. It's taken over the news stream for sure.
Yeah. And it's amazing because this isn't the first time somebody sued somebody for defamation of character.
Defamation. Yeah.
Yeah. What did I say? What did I just say?
Defamation, but it's defamation.
Defamation.
Before we switch over to that, I do want to say that there was on the Uber side of things, there was a movie.
Yeah. My wife's watching it.
With Joe Carey, the one on Hulu.
Yeah, she's watching that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Where he's the kid from Stranger Things.
Oh no, she's watching the dude with Jorson.
She's watching like the
Joseph
story
Gordon-Levitt.
That's the actual story of
okay. Oh, sorry.
The rise of Uber. When we were talking about like weird shit that happens, there's Joe Carey, who is in Stranger Things. He was the good guy, computer nerd and free guy.
Okay.
He plays Steve in Stranger Things. Yeah. He did a movie called Spree, which is he's an Uber driver, but he's psychotic. And he's like a serial killer doing Uber driver kind of things. And that was what, like, I saw that. I'm like, well, it was only a matter of time before somebody made that movie.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I'm surprised it wasn't Blumhouse, but
of course.
Anyway, yeah. So yeah, onto the newsreels being completely taken over by something other than Ukraine, because Ukraine, I almost feel like it's old news for some of it. Like you get updates still.
No, I agree. It's like, that was in April.
Yeah. Yeah. There's other stuff going on. Like we said this weekend, just hopping on, I knew of 2 separate shootings, but even just hopping on the newsreels here, that I think there was 4 significant shootings over the weekend. I don't know, man. So it's a full moon tonight, so I think it just screwed everybody up.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So going back to the original question, I have no idea if it's made the world better or not.
I don't know. World better? I mean, they replaced cab companies,
but that also put a lot of people like our friend that needed a second income, help them out.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't.
Yeah. I don't know either,
because I don't think Mark would have ended up driving a cab. I mean, I don't think that would have been the case.
I think you're right.
I think he would have just stayed. He would have found another way, but this was a way for him to do it on his own time, own hours.
Yep.
So
I would say if it's going well for you, then it made your life a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let us know out there. What do you guys think? Has it made the world better? I have no idea. I think that's a really broad brush. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. You ready for the second one?
Yes.
That's a little too hardcore. Should
it's so analogous. I mean, it's like, what do we, how do we know? We don't have. I don't know if we've had it long enough. Yeah. What was the world like before Uber? Well, we took cabs and transportation services. Took cabs. Now I call a soccer mom in a minivan who picks me up and charges me a lot less.
Yeah.
My life's a little better. I don't know if it's better for the world or not, but
my wallet's a little lighter. I mean, a little heavier.
Yeah, it's valuable.
I don't know about you, but I never liked going in a cab.
No, I hated cabs.
Yeah.
I hated them.
Yeah. And I think, and I don't mind jumping in the back of somebody. Obviously, I have never had a bad Uber experience or a Lyft experience. I've never had an issue like that. I can tell pretty clearly within the first 5 seconds, 6 seconds, if this guy wants to talk or not.
I take it back. I did have a bad experience. Downtown Chicago, going from McCormick down back to our hotel, and Eric was with me, our buddy Eric. And at the McCormick Center, you've got all the cabs, and then here's all the Uber lines, and it's just, they've got it down to a science. You pick up here, you drop off there, kind of stuff. And so we get to our Uber.
Yeah,
we get in. The guy starts driving like where he's not supposed to.
Okay.
And people are like, no, this isn't you. You go this way. And he's like, no, I'm going that way, and kind of forcing through it. And he's angry. He's swearing at people. He's like, and I understand if you're in Chicago and used to Chicago drivers, you kind of weave in and out and drive a little crazy, stuff like that. But he's doing that while he's screaming at the cops on the corner.
Wow.
And I was like, what the hell? Yeah. And the thing was, we were going to go, he was going to take us back to our hotel, and I was going to say, hey, wait here for a couple minutes so we can grab our bags. And then he was going to take us to Grand Central to out the train back to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And I just let him go. I'm like, okay, man, thanks. See you later. Eric's like, oh, you didn't want to keep him? I'm like, no.
Would you rate him?
Oh, I rated him like a 2. Like,
ooh.
Yeah, 1 or a 2. I'm like, and I put in there the notes. I'm like, he got us to where we needed to go, but I thought I was going to die, and he was not nice to the people, to public servants doing their job. And I'm like, I said, he obviously didn't know where to go. And when people tried to tell him where to go, he was not.
He was not happy about that.
Yeah.
No.
I still gave him a tip, just not a big one, because I know those guys kind of live and die off the tips. So
I always tip.
You've got to be really bad,
or you have to be
for me to stiff you completely. And I can't remember the last time I did that.
Yeah, I've never done it.
But I know people that they're like, no, they make money, they don't need a tip from me. I'm like,
yeah,
no. I mean, like wait staff, like they.
That's a shame.
I'm not going to drop names, because if they hear it, they'll be pissed. But people that I know and related to, they will not tip like
and related to.
Yeah, I mean, and my daughter saw it one time, and she was a waitress at the time, and she's like, are you not gonna? Are you?
Yeah, that upsets people. Money down? Ever served?
And they're like, no.
Yeah, if you've ever served, if you've ever been in the restaurant industry, and I think you almost. And I did. I was a waiter. You spent
your time there. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. So it's impossible for me not to give 20%, even at really bad service, because I always sit there and think to myself, they could just be having a really bad day.
Yeah. And I know people like, well, you start at 15 and you go up from there. I'm like, no, you start at 20.
No, I always start at 20.
And I have had some really bad service at places that maybe I'll go down to like 17. I mean, which and if it's, I'm not eating at places where dropping it, 0.03%. I mean, we're talking pennies at that point, but it's just more like you're going to get 17% because you weren't that great. And then you can, figure out what you're going to not do with that nickel or whatever. Yeah. But I've never stiffed anybody.
Oh,
like ever.
Yeah. Nor I.
I find it hard sometimes how to tip other service people. I mean, wait staff and stuff like that, I think it's pretty standard. But like my tattoo artist, who's fantastic, and I love her to death.
Yeah, those are weird.
Those
are weird situations.
It's almost like a stylist. I mean, I obviously haven't been to a hairstylist in over 20 years.
No.
And so like, I'm like, is it like that? Do I tip Bridget the same as some people tip their stylist? Is it Is it still like the 20%? Do you go up from that? I mean, how do you figure that out?
I don't even know how you figure out the people that bring up your luggage to like your hotel room.
Oh yeah, no clue.
I have no idea how much to tip with
and
that.
Mostly I don't stay at those places where they do that, but even like, yeah, going to Vegas and like somebody's, dropping, taking your bags out. Well, like we just went to Florida and, we catch the shuttle. Someone's loading our bags onto the shuttle to and from.
Yeah.
And I just like $1 a bag. I mean, is that standard? Is that not enough? And no one's told me different. So
what's kind of great, and it's weird. You're in America, we're so used to tipping. In Australia, you don't tip. They won't accept it.
Really?
It's already
like Australia
added into the amount.
Well, that's because they get paid a decent wage, right? Yeah. I mean, isn't that?
I don't know. I don't know if they do or not, but I know that there is no tipping in Australia. I know that.
Well, I know Europe's got different rules too. And
I don't know what I forgot what Poland was.
Like you don't leave money on the table in some countries because that's considered an insult. Like if you're going to tip them, you hand it. You
hand it to them.
Like that's the thing. And I'm like, know. I'm going to be so screwed if I ever get to Europe and don't know all those tipping rules. Or
did you ever? Excuse me. Did you ever? I lost my train of thought. I was going to ask you. Oh, did you ever serve? Did you ever do anything like that? Did you ever?
I bust tables at a couple of different places, and one place I was at, they did shared tips. So the waitresses, because I don't think there was any dudes waiting tables at that place at the time. Right. They would come up and they were required to give you like a portion of their tips. And that felt really awkward to me.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because, and I was in high school when I was doing this, late high school. And I was like, no, I didn't work for that. They're like, well, you cleared the table off. I'm like, but that's just my job. Like, yeah, like you're the one taking the orders and putting up with the bullshit and, bad customers. I'm there when they're gone and they've left.
Right.
And I'm just cleaning up their stuff and taking it back to the dishwashers.
Yeah.
And so I never felt comfortable, but they were insistent. They're like, no, this is how we do this. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I guess. And at the same time, that was a place I was getting paid cash under the table. And so it wasn't, they weren't, and I was getting paid more. Like I know the wait staff that at the time, I think they were making like $3-4 an hour. And then their tips were where they made the bulk of their money for the night. And I was getting paid more than that because they're like, you're not wait staff. You get paid an actual minimum wage, which I think was $7.25 at the time. So I was already making minimum wage and then they gave me their tips. I'm like, that doesn't seem right to me. But they were insistent. So I'd be like, okay, I guess I'll take it.
Yeah. I think everybody should at least do that one time in their life. Should serve, be a server,
a service job. Yeah, absolutely.
Be a service job. You should do that one time in your life. I think there's a lot of people that if you've never done it, you don't look at it at the same mindset as if you did do it. That's all I can say.
You do that and then work retail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get a job at a store where you're dealing with, crabby customers.
Yeah.
And stocking shelves.
Yep.
Get that kind of experience.
I agree. So, Ursula would be the type, and because I've worked also retail, if she didn't want something, she'd like be past the hour she got it, she put it just back on the shelf. And I'm like, no. And I had to grab that and I would walk it all the way back and place it back on the shelf. It was just part of the makeup. I was like, I'm not, because I was the guy that before the store was closing, I had to go down every aisle and put everything that wasn't on that, wasn't supposed to be there, and put it back where it was supposed to be. So
yeah,
I was that guy.
I don't do that. But even when I'm walking around and I see somebody did that, for one, I want to see what they placed there and what they took instead. So it's kind of like, if it was, I don't know, like a box of cereal sitting next to the Jack Daniels, I'm like, somebody made a choice there. There was a decision at that point. Yeah. But I'm also not the guy. Like if I see that, I'm not I'm not grabbing the cereal and taking it back to the cereal.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a dick for doing that, but
yeah. And screw you guys too. There are people out there that will put like a teddy bear in the frozen section.
Yeah, like
I've seen that, or they'll leave like or they'll leave like fish like on the
like next to the granola bars.
Or something like that. And it's like, dude,
no,
you know,
no, that's nasty. That's no good.
It's nasty.
I had another piece to that. Shit.
Speaking of retail stores, I wasn't aware until like you start seeing videos, and now that Instagram's there's always popping up videos of crazy things happening in this world. There was I think it's still going on where people will just take a shit in the aisle. Like, what the hell is that? I couldn't believe that. I was like, wait a minute, they did what?
I've seen a couple instances.
Have you like live, or have you seen like video?
Oh no. I've never seen it live because I don't know if I could stay silent.
Yeah,
when that happened, I would react.
Almost like, hey, hey, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
like my first thought would be like, dude, are you okay? Because that's embarrassing.
Well, I see, and that's
yeah.
I hope. I mean, I've seen like the live video cam of like, you know, this woman's in the frozen food section and she just like squats down and, you know, has her moment. But
has her moment.
But at the same time, I'm like, man, I hope you're sick. Like I hope there's like something wrong.
That's an uncontrollable
because I've been in a public place where you're like, oh, I gotta find a place. I gotta find a place right now.
Isn't that weird how that creeps up that fast?
Man,
it's unbelievable.
And if it's something like that, where she's got an issue, or maybe she's on medication that just comes, or I've heard people that flat out have had dysentery. Yes, the sickness that would kill you on the Oregon Trail type of dysentery, and they're like, it's impossible. You cannot stop it. And this was a guy, he was out hiking, and he and his wife both got it, and he's like, there's just no stopping. You're off the trail.
Can you still get it?
Dysentery? Sure.
Yeah.
It's like a microbe that you get from like water.
It's like a parasite.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's actually a parasite.
Okay.
That's a bacterial
thing. Okay.
But Marshall says, I'm glad that's happened. Never happened in any of the stores I've worked. Well, yeah, me too.
Me too.
Now I've been in retail spaces where someone's like, hey, can I use your bathroom? Yeah, absolutely, man. It's right back there. Yeah. And then they have an issue.
Yes.
In fact, I was down in I wasn't working at the place, but I was at a comic shop in Chicago, and I'm like, do you guys got a bathroom? Like, yeah. I walk in, it looked like a murder scene. And when I say murder scene, it was blood. There was blood all over the place. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Yeah. So I walk out, I'm like, hey, is one of your coworkers like hurt or something? Because you got a lot of blood like everywhere. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like it's a murder scene in there. And they go back and they come back. They're like, we're really sorry. I need to go make some phone calls. I'm like, yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it was weird.
But, oh, that poor guy probably had to clean that up too.
Yeah. Yep.
And there's no training video on proper cleaning up after a murder scene.
Well, not after a murder scene, but there's proper training videos because I've had to make some.
No, I just didn't mean in terms. I just meant in terms of that. But
yeah.
That's I hope. But you can tell in some of the videos I've seen where that was their intent.
Yeah, like they're pulling an Amber Heard and they're just gonna
like, whoa,
file right there. Yeah.
Yeah. But I've heard psychiatrists say that that's a different level of like
there, you know
deviance.
What? There is a psychosis with that, and usually it gets worked out by the time a kid gets into like high school or college. But when I was a special education teacher, especially in the middle school, there is a psychosis. It's an emotional behavioral issue that it takes a lot. It takes therapy, and it's about attention getting and revenge. And so you would see that kind of thing, or in my experience, I saw that kind of thing in kids who like their dad had left and they blamed the mother. And so
they would just poop around there.
Well, he'd wipe his ass with like the good towels and then fold them back up and put them in the cupboard. So
what a little
so I mean, and
yeah,
at first, your first reaction is like, you little fucker. Like,
Yeah,
why?
right.
But then when you start to dig into it a little bit more, I mean, it is a psychosis that these people need therapy for.
God, the human condition is so weird.
So there's that end of it. And you're like, I mean, it's disgusting all around. You have that initial kind of reaction, but then you're like, oh, this is a psychosis. This kid needs help, or this person needs help. And then you've got like influencers that are just trying to get hits on YouTube or something like that. You're like, you're a piece of shit. Like,
thank you, jackass. Thank you, jackass. You're the people that did
stuff like that.
Where they would go to like a Home Depot and poop in the toilet there, like on the showroom floor. Assholes.
I never was big into that show.
That's the white trash Olympics, if you ask me. That's what it was.
People love it. I mean, and I love fail videos, like, watching a guy on a dirt bike eat shit on a mountainside or something. I mean,
not eat shit, by the way. He's talking about just
he's falling.
Eating dirt.
They fall. They or a skateboarder who goes for a grind and just like face plants or something.
Yeah, if you're not careful on YouTube, you can get sucked into like a full hour and a half of watching that shit.
But I'm not big on the people that mess with other people. Like I saw a kid, and I want to say a kid because he was probably 17 or 18, maybe in that range, had an air horn, and he's at Home Depot or he's at a Lowe's or something.
Oh, when he's just doing that.
And he's going up and he's trying to scare people using an air horn. And there's a guy who the best explanation is that he looked like my dad when my dad was in his 40s. Working man, kind of got that gut on him, but just the guy works for a living. He is labor.
Yeah.
And he goes, burr, and he like hits the air horn like pretty close to the guy's ear, like close enough that it hurt. And this dude in this high trucker's cap just goes, he looks and then quickly grabs this kid, puts him in an arm bar, and has his face pressed against the metal shelf as his friends are coming up like, it's a joke. And you see this old man just yelling at these kids. And I'm like, well, I enjoyed that video because I want to see the kids that are pulling those pranks get the shit beat out of them.
I agree. That went way too. That was a big thing back when YouTube just first started. I think was all those prank videos.
Well, it was like the Paul brothers and stuff like that doing weird stuff, and then escalation. I mean, it really was.
Well, you had to, because
how far
can you go with it?
What can we do to get away with stuff? And that's where it became you're
too much, or it was being faked.
Yeah,
you were like, that's not going on. Yeah, full. Yeah. All right, man. Let's see what our next topic could possibly be. Okay, this ain't bad. Would you rather have the Amazing Spider-Man 3 or Spider-Man 4? Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi, Spider-Man. So Spider-Man 4 in that, or Amazing Spider-Man 3. You know the difference?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I see what you're saying.
For those of you that don't know the difference, so Spider-Man 4 would be with
Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man
Sam
4, or Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man 3.
Thank you. Yeah.
There you go. Personally, I would want an Andrew Garfield Spider-Man 3 because
of what happened on No Way Home.
Because in No Way Home, he explains it got dark. And he's like choking. Yeah, and he's like, it was a bad place. And I'm like, I want to see him go to that bad place. Like, that's one. I think he's an amazing actor in anything.
I do too. I think Andrew Garfield's really good.
But that is a Spider-Man story that we really haven't seen. Is him realistically
Peter freaking out?
Well, they try, Raimi
or Peter going dark because
Peter going dark.
He's dealing with grief.
Yes. Yeah. Spider-Man 3 was Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire saw the symbiote suit, and that kind of made Peter go dark. But Sam Raimi was trying to give the middle finger to Sony Pictures at the time.
Yeah.
Because they were forcing him to do certain things in his film, and he didn't like that, which is why it's a terrible film.
Yeah. Yeah. You think studios would understand interference moving? It's spring, folks. It's spring, folks.
We saw it on camera.
Bugs are in the house.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be. I was going to do a follow-up question to that.
Spider-Man?
Shoot.
According to this poll, 51% of 67,000 votes, 51% goes to Spider-Man 4. 31 goes to Amazing Spider-Man 3. But maybe there's not that caveat you added to it. Because that's right. That's more interesting.
But even, you know what? Even still, I would rather see Andrew Garfield do another round than Tobey
I wasn't
Maguire.
a big Tobey Maguire fan of Spider-Man.
I love
when I saw one. When that's all I had, I accepted it. When I saw a different version, I went, "Oh, wait a minute, that's
it's the same thing. You go back and I mean, early in the comic book film days. So we're talking like the early 2000s when comic book films really started to come out. The directors were making them, oh, we're going to make a comic book film and try to give it kind of almost this cheese factor to it. And that's what we got with like the first Spider-Man film. Are you getting them? Jesus.
I don't know. I think it's the one I keep missing.
So
it's fast.
So it's like the first Spider, it's cheesy dialogue, it's cheesy camera angles with some awesomeness kind of, bookmarked in there. And it wasn't for me until like Batman Begins came out that I went, oh, they're going to do a whole kind of cool, like they make a serious film out of it.
Yeah.
But even like you go back and you rewatch the first X-Men film, the Bryan Singer X-Men film.
I have.
Again, there are some cool moments.
Yes, there are.
But it's a little rough. And they figured it out a little bit better in X-Men 2. And then they started to lose it again.
Yeah.
With the third one.
The third one. You know what's not cool? I watched it before we jumped on. Snake Eyes. It's god awful.
It's
the most stupidest. Sitting there.
It's on my watch list. I can't bring myself to do it.
God. Like, I'm just watching that the whole time and I'm thinking, I don't know what you were going for.
How did this get made? Yeah. How did this get made?
Who sat there and went, who green lighted that? Or that to me needed studio interference. Like, that was one of those.
It needed fan interference.
Yes, something that was horrendous. They don't even go like when I heard the movie was coming out, my thought was, he doesn't say anything.
He doesn't talk.
Yeah. Or are they going to address why he took? Now, help me out. Did he take a vow of silence or was he injured?
No, he took a vow of silence.
Okay. So I kept waiting for that. I kept like, okay, this is the end right here. This is how he takes his vow of silence. Nope. He's just going to keep talking. Yeah. And the acting was horrible and the action wasn't even that good. And
it's bad.
Yeah. Another movie that was weird and I didn't know how to take it. I actually text you on it. I won't give you a lot of spoilers. I know you and I are a big werewolf fan.
Oh,
shows. But I watched the show called the Wolf of Snow Hollow. The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Yeah. Haven't watched it yet. It's on my list.
Okay. Watch it and just let me know what you think. Because at first I thought.
It seems like werewolf films in the past, I don't know, 5-10 years, everybody needs to put some kind of spin on it. Well, they're not just doing like someone gets bit and now they're,
You're right.
Every full moon they're killing somebody and it's a mystery to try to figure out who it is. Now they did it a little bit with Werewolf Within. That's more of a like
dark comedy.
Dark comedy. I want to call it an action comedy.
I would say this is a dark comedy as well.
Yeah. So
I hope so.
I'm still waiting for a good werewolf film to come on this decade.
If somebody I'm going to say one thing and you'll notice this, and this won't ruin the movie. It just bothered me. I didn't understand it. So it takes place in a snowy atmosphere.
Okay.
Everybody in this town wears a coat except one character the entire time. And they don't explain, like, did he spill coffee on his, like, they don't explain it. And he's like the lead character. I think he's the lead character, but he never wears a coat. And I'm like,
so he's not just a teenage boy who refuses to wear a coat.
He's like, I think, he's one of the cops investigating this, but he's not ever wearing a coat. Everybody around him is wearing coats. He's not. And I'm like, was that on purpose? Is this showing something?
Twilight werewolves where they're just extremely warm all the time?
Yeah, no, it's not like that at all. It's so odd. By the way, speaking of that, I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw this clip that they took from Twilight where they had what was the guy that played the werewolf? Jake.
Well,
Jake.
I don't
No,
know.
Jacob was his actual
Jacob
name.
was the character name.
So was like
I got
Taylor Loretta?
Taylor Ratner. Right?
Maybe.
I got IMDb up. I can look it up.
Okay. Anyway, he was in a full body suit, and he was doing the movements with whoever he was acting with. It's the oddest thing. And they show him he's in a full body suit, and he's like cuddling, and they're showing on the next clip what that looks like.
Oh,
cuddling. And I was like,
why would they have him do that?
Yeah, I thought that was really weird. It was like, were you trying to use face expressions? That's weird.
Taylor Lautner is his
Taylor
name.
Lautner. Yeah, whatever happened to that guy.
They really they build him up like he was gonna be the next Matt Damon.
Yeah. And he did one movie after that, and he sucked at it. Didn't he? It was like an action movie too. It was some sort of action movie where he's supposed to be a kid.
I remember he did one with Bruce. They made it look like it was a Bruce Willis film that this kid was also in, and then Bruce Willis dies in the beginning. He did one called Tracers. Wasn't that the name of it? Oh no, Tracers was something else. That was like a parkour film. Run the Tide, Ridiculous Six. He was in the Scream Queens TV series, Cuckoo TV series.
No, it was like.
So after the
Twilight, know when you read it. Yeah.
Twilight series was in Abduction. Was that it?
That's it. Yep. You'll know when it happens.
That was in the middle of the Twilight stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So they were really trying to. I know he was in Love Actually too with Taylor Swift. Wasn't he? Or Love Always?
Let me look. I didn't know he was in that show. My Own Worst Enemy with Christian Slater. He played it like his son or something like that.
Christian Slater, whatever happened to that guy?
He's done some stuff. He was in Mr. Robot for a while, and that was actually pretty good.
Oh, I heard that was actually really good.
So yeah, Twilight. He did his first Twilight as Taylor Lautner in 2008. My Own Worst Enemy was 2008. Valentine's Day. That's what it was. That's the one you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Which was a Love Actually-esque type film. Field of Dreams 2, which was a short.
Didn't know that existed.
Then he did Abduction, Breaking Dawn 1, Breaking Dawn 2. He was in the remake of The Grown-Ups. Or not the remake.
Oh, he was a bully.
He was the Grown-Ups. Yeah, he was that. And Grown-Ups 2.
Bully. He was a bully.
Frat Boy Andy was his name. Trancers, The Ridiculous Six, which I think was another Adam Sandler Western.
Horrendous movie.
Terrible movie, yeah. Run the Tide.
I don't know what
football film. Scream Queens was a TV series. He was in that.
Did you watch that?
No. He was in that for 10 episodes. Cuckoo. His name was Dale. He was in that for 20 episodes. So, I mean, that's work. 20 episodes is a couple seasons.
Yeah.
But that ended in 2018, and then he hasn't worked again until this movie called Home Team that came out 2002. And that it's a Kevin James football movie that premiered on Netflix back in January, and I hadn't even heard of.
Oh, yeah, you're right about that guy. They really pumped him up.
I remember he was a martial arts kid. Like
was he?
Yeah, like he was a champion, a martial arts champion in I think they call it extreme martial arts, which is very kinetic, very acrobatic, a whole lot of screaming. I never saw it as very functional. It was very showy. But like
it's good Hollywood. It's good Hollywood.
Good Hollywood stuff. Yeah, good. Like he could do fight choreography very well.
Yeah.
But he honestly just never took off as a. Yeah. I think there were too many like elder millennials and up
hated
just being like, fuck that kid.
Yeah. I think that's exactly what happened.
Well, but that happened with Pattinson, but Pattinson went out and actually did some decent movies.
He took risks,
like showed he was an actor.
Yes.
And this kid
I agree with that. Yeah.
I watched the first two Twilight films. Like I didn't watch any of them.
Oh, so I shut it off after they played baseball.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. But
Ursula and I were watching it, and
the next film, Lautner got buff. Like he went.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
And I remember them talking about the hype of, they were going to recast him with a different actor who was bigger, and he's like, no, I can do this, and he put in the work and got big, or he got ripped up. I'm like, well, good for him.
Yeah.
The scene where they have him take his shirt off,
just because he's hot all the time, right?
It's just ridiculous. I mean, he like runs up to her, he's like, are you okay? And like does the unfurl, and you're like, nobody takes their shirt off like that. I mean, just like ridiculous. The only way to watch Twilight now.
Wait a minute, time out. How do you take your shirt off? Honestly,
not like that. I
do it like this.
I go from the back and like over the head, and then.
Do you really?
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. So people out there, how do you take
that? Is an interesting question. How do you take your shirt off?
I take it off like this. I just throw it off like that. I just take it right off.
See, I think some people will take the sleeve and they pull one arm through. I'm like, my arms are too damn long.
Well, yeah,
and then I would stretch out like too much of the sleeve. So Marshall, how do you take your shirt off?
Yeah, Marshall, how do you take your shirt off? Do you go like this and whip it over your head?
How
do you do it?
I don't know. I've never thought about how people take their
I haven't either until you said, well, then he goes like this. I was like, well, wait a minute. How else do you take a shirt off?
I think maybe sometimes if I'm drunk and just heading to bed, I might take my shirt off like that. Just a bam. And then I might hit the pillow and I'm out.
But it's the most efficient to me.
But then your shirt's inside out.
Well, what if you get caught when you
get caught? If I don't shave my head and I got that Velcro action.
That's right. It'll yank. It's like a teeth back there.
You're gonna your vertebrae is going to get jacked up or something.
Yeah. Folks, we need to know, how do you take off your shirt?
Oh, Marshall said behind the head like Greg. There we go.
Really?
Yep.
Behind the head.
Yeah.
Oh.
Try it.
I don't do it like that.
Try it tonight in front of your wife, and if she looks at you and goes like, what the fuck are you doing?
I'm afraid I'm going to get stuck. I'm afraid I'll get stuck doing that. Behind the head. Like that just takes too long.
No,
like this,
it really does.
Boom, done. Whoosh, over.
Well, it beats going like from the front, because then you get this.
Now I don't go slow. I'm not like,
do you wiggle? Like, you don't do the wiggle?
Yeah, I don't do that. I just go shoo off. All right, we got off track there, but
there is no track tonight. This is just what it is.
That's true. You don't believe we've almost talked an entire hour already?
Oh yeah. See, folks, when we started this podcast and we said this is just going to be like us having our normal conversations.
Yes.
We used to have phone. We still have phone conversations like this.
Yeah, that's true. And we always end a phone conversation now with, "Damn it, why didn't we?"
We should have been recording that.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
I mean, we spent 15 minutes talking about Taylor Lautner.
Yeah. Yeah. Back to the Wolf on Snow Hollow.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever, if anybody's watched that, let me know. Was that supposed to be a comedy? Because if it's some sort of a dark comedy, then I get it. But if they took themselves seriously, then they misfired.
Mm.
But there are certain scenes where I'm like, and the music, the score they had behind it, it's very. I was like, this has to be a comedy. I was looking at this in the beginning as a serious movie, but it seems like it's almost going one level of more community, one more level of more awkward comedy than Fargo.
Really?
Yeah. It was like a little bit level up to Fargo, or the guy was a big fan of Fargo, wanted to make a monster movie with that in mind.
Well, this is interesting. You said the star, director
Jim Cummings,
director Jim Cummings, writer Jim Cummings,
yes,
star Jim Cummings,
yes. And it's just, there's certain scenes that you're just like, wait, what's going on right now?
Okay, so I'm looking at the cast.
Yeah,
this cast has done some Netflix shows that were mockumentary comedies.
Okay.
So Jimmy Turturro, who in the film plays PJ Pelfrey.
By the way, have you ever watched that guy?
The
PJ. Yes,
I've seen him on the Netflix shows.
Yeah. Okay. He has such a deep voice.
He does,
you don't expect that from that guy.
Yeah. And he actually had a sitcom with Topher Grace. I think it was, which was I liked it. I think it got canceled, but I thought it was good. It was a good sibling rivalry kind of sitcom. But that makes me think that it may be more of a
comedy,
a black comedy.
Okay.
Or a dark comedy, I should say.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find. Oh yeah, it's the genre is comedy, horror, mystery, and thriller.
Oh, okay. Because all it said on Netflix was thriller. That's all it said. I'm sorry, on Prime. Did I watch it on Prime or did I watch it on Netflix? I think I watched it on Netflix. I can't remember where I watched it.
You watched it on Prime, I think.
Okay.
But so if it was in the thriller category, sometimes if you go also to the comedy category, it'll be in there too.
Okay.
And so that's where they're.
So then if it was that, then okay, good movie then. Okay, I get it. Good movie.
Now it's a good movie.
Yeah.
If it was just a horror film,
I had no idea. I think I even texted you. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but I don't know if I should like this or think this is ridiculous.
Somebody just told me I should watch Nighthouse.
What's that?
Which is on Prime. It looks like a ghost story. Woman's husband dies and she's trying to move on, but then there's like hauntings in the house. And there's at one point you see almost like a negative space, like human form.
Okay.
And we watched it and it was like, no. Oh, Marshall says the lunar eclipse is happening tonight, about halfway there. Yeah, it's actually a super rare full moon, by the way, because it's also a blood moon, super moon, and a lunar eclipse.
Oh, damn.
So Wiccans and pagans are orgying out in the woods tonight.
Wow. Sure. So guys, if you walk past a bonfire with a bunch of people there, either
dancing
join
in circles
or run away.
Yep.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. It's a blood moon today.
Yeah. Like a harvest blood moon. I think they call it.
So wait. So you said it's a super moon, a blood moon, and a heart.
And a lunar eclipse.
And a lunar eclipse all tonight.
All tonight. Yeah.
That's
I think it was called like a harvest blossom.
That sounds like something somebody missed some sort of major plot device there. Like that's that's a plot.
The world
device.
might end up like, yes. People like Dresden, like Harry Dresden are out stopping some massive thing from happening tonight that we'll never hear about.
Yes. Or Alex Veris. You should get on that one.
I did. I read the Alex Veris. I read the first one.
Oh, you read Fated?
Yeah, I read Fated.
Oh, I didn't know you did. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they flat out mention Dresden in Fated. They make a reference to the wizard in Chicago who's an outed wizard.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I did did you finish Fated already?
I'm on the 4th book.
Okay. I did like the giant spider
Arachnia. Yes.
Who's making dresses.
Arachne.
I thought she
makes dresses. Yeah. Yeah, he actually bumps into a dragon in the 2nd book.
Really? See, I never got. I got so because I read. My plan was to do like one Dresden, one Jacka, one Dresden, and I just got so sucked into Dresden that I never went.
I'm reading Full Moon right now. That's the 2nd Dresden book. I got back.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
I picked it up. I picked it up. I just I read like 4 chapters, thought it was really good, and then I just didn't pick it up again for a while, and then I just started reading it now because
book 3 is where he brings in the vampires and the different vampire courts, and it gets
he brought in that in the first one, Bianca.
Well, yeah, you saw Bianca, but then there's more in the 3rd book where you see how the different courts play with the interact with each other, and it's almost like this hidden political world and whatnot.
By the way, Mr. Butcher, is that his name?
Jim Butcher. Yep.
You know what's weird about Jim Butcher? We had a theater teacher in Whitewater named Jim Butcher. For 1 second, I thought, oh my God, he writes books.
That'd be cool, but it's not him.
Oh yeah, because we could actually talk to him then. We're still gonna work on you, Jim, because I have a couple of questions. I'm sure Greg has a ton.
He's got a couple other big series out there, like young adult series that deal with like pantheons of gods, Greek, Roman, or Greek, and I think Viking. I have to go back and look, but I haven't read any of those. I read his steampunk one, and I think he's only got one. The Astro, was it the Astro something's Windless?
The Codex Astro or something. The Codex.
Yeah, it's got like sentient cat people that serve kind of the gentry.
Okay,
and everybody lives in the clouds, kind of thing.
I see.
It was tough for me to get through, but I was waiting for more books to come out to see if it would hook me in a little bit more.
Yeah.
And he hasn't come out with another book yet. So.
Oh, I heard a new one I'm going to try this week, probably on Audible, is Rivers of London.
Oh, I've heard it. Yeah, that's VA something, right?
Yeah, his name's, I forgot his first name, but it's like Aaronovich is the last name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that's a very popular, that's picking up a lot of steam now.
Paul over at the Pull Box has reviewed a bunch of the comics.
Okay. Yeah, there's comics, right?
Yeah, that are based on those, and he loves them.
Yeah. So I'm going to probably pick that up. Yeah. So we're going to end it now, and I'm going to end it now, the podcast.
Oh, yeah, we're at 10.
Yeah. No podcast next week. I will be in Florida. We're going to be on a little family vacay for about a couple of days. So no podcast next week because I'm leaving Saturday. So I'll be in Florida on Sunday all the way through next week. So in 2 weeks from now, we'll be having a podcast. We'll have plenty to talk about back then.
Yeah.
Hopefully not too many crazy things happen in Florida, but yeah. So I will definitely pick up that book to bring to me on the flight, that Rivers of London.
We'll have to see how that following weekend goes, because that's Memorial Day weekend, bud.
Oh yes, that is.
But I may be celebrating. We'll see.
Okay. Celebrating where?
Probably around a campfire with some cocktails and a cigar.
Sounds good. All right, Greg, sign us out, sir.
Well, yeah, as you're going through the weekend, it sounds like there was a bunch of douchiness over the weekend that involved firearms. Just be nice to each other. Don't escalate things, and don't be a juice.
Boom.
Don't be a douche.
Boom. So for the Greg, this is Johnny saying podcast out, and let us know how you take off your shirt. Women included, if you want to like fill us in. That was weird. Sorry.
Totally optional.
Yep.
Don't. Stop the podcast.